beginning.
All right, we are now live streaming and recording.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, March 18th, 2021 session of the North Carolina Property Tax Commission. We have two hearings today and one motion before us. Let me introduce our commission members and others that are with us today. We have our Vice Chairman, Terry. I'm Bob Hunter, Chairman of the Commission. Our Vice Chairman is Terry Wheeler. Raise your hand, Terry. There he is. And we have Commissioners Bill Peasley and Commissioner Alec Guess and Commissioner June Michaud and our Secretary and General Counsel Steve Pelfrey. Our court reporter is Linda Garrett. She's easy to recognize, the one with the, well, it is a mask. It's not the mask that we're used to wearing outside or inside with others, but that's her court reporter mask. And then we have Alexandra Bendette, who runs our WebEx and is our staff person, one of our fine staff at the Local Government Commission of the North Carolina Department of Revenue, and serves the North Carolina Property Tax Commission. I think I've got everybody that needs to be recognized. Let me do a little bit of administrative duties that we're supposed to do. In accordance with the State Government's Ethics Act, it's the duty of every commission member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearance of conflict. Does any commission member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the commission today? If so, please identify yourself and the conflict or appearance of conflict, and refrain from any undue participation in a particular matter involved. Seeing or hearing none, I'll consider that there are no conflicts. On our agenda today, we have two cases and a motion from Pamlico County. The first case we'll hear is a Kennel Beach Incorporated case, 20 Property Tax Commission 0429, and then the Hurlins case, and then we'll have a motion in the Sanders and Taylor matter. And after that, we have a couple of other administrative items on the calendar. Okay, our first case, as we said, is Mr. Kennel Beach Kennels, and let me kind of preface what we do here by saying that what the standard that we operate under here that's set out in the statutes and by court cases, that ad valorem tax assessments are presumed correct, and in order to rebut the presumption, the taxpayer, Mr. Kennel, must present evidence to show that an arbitrary method of valuation was used, or that an illegal method of valuation was used, and that the assessment substantially exceeds the true value in money of the property. So that's the standard that we'll be operating under today. We do have the statement of the case, the pretrial order that we have before us. It appears that there are no issues pending that need to be resolved. Mr. Baxter, you're representing Pamlico County. Is that your understanding? All right, and Mr. Kennel, is that your understanding? And Ms. Adams, okay.
Just turn it off.
Uh-oh. Ms. Adams, you are muted. Okay. Obviously, Mr. Kennel, you are not muted. That came over loud and clear.
Oh, well.
All right. So
my sister can probably explain it better.
okay.
My wife is on home hospice.
Okay.
And
we're sorry about that.
She doesn't know how to work the
do you want Mrs. Adams? Do you want Mrs. Adams, your sister, to present this matter?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay,
Is the noise in the background too much? That's my question.
we don't hear it. We don't hear it.
Perfect.
All right, so we'll let you have an opening statement so you can tell us a little bit about what the case is. We have the file, so we're generally familiar, and then you'll get a chance to testify when we start into hearing the actual testimony, and you can present your evidence. I also saw there was no objection to any of the exhibits, so we'll consider all the exhibits admitted unless there's an objection that you can point out as we go along. All right, Mr. Kennel?
Okay, sir. Judge Hunter and Commissioners Wheeler and Peasley, Guess and Michaud. I'd like to do a very brief introduction, several simple things. Introduction of the presenters, myself and my sister, a brief history of Kennels Beach, the background on why there's a Kennels Beach Incorporated at all, the nature of our Kennels Beach Incorporated, KBI, appeal on the appraisal, some comments on the county map, and a recommended resolution.
All right, let me ask you this question. First, we just need a general overview of what your contention is, what you contend, what the county's valuation is, what you contend yours should be, and what you'll show, and then we'll get into the testimony, and that might help speed things up since you've got 11 o'clock appointment.
Well, one of the contentions that we have written up several times is that one cannot understand the appraiser's activities without understanding something about the company itself, Kennels Beach Incorporated, and Kennels Beach. And I promise to be very fast in that. My sister and I are the co-owners of KBI. I'm an old nuclear engineer, Air Force veteran, built independent power plants, renewable energy around the country, retired to Holly Springs here in 1998, started a second career as a minister, helping start 23 new churches for the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, and retired 2 years ago, and am now the caregiver for my wife of 59 years. My sister Jenny is a retired teacher, UNCG graduate, living with her husband at Kennels Beach. She was an early teacher and coach here in Raleigh at Enloe and Sanderson. She went down to help take care of our parents and lives at Kennels Beach. She helped start the Arapahoe Charter School. She was the Charter School of Teacher of the Year, North Carolina Charter Teacher of the Year in Pamlico County. She's a gymnastics judge, and for 30 years she's been the sole director of all North Carolina USA gymnastics. And she's now retired. The unique nature of Kennels Beach, I think there was a brochure that was in the package that goes back to the 75th anniversary in the year 2000. Kennels Beach came about because my European immigrant grandfather founded it in 1925. It became a unique facility for some 20 families that have had 4 and 5 generations of families coming down there from the 1940s, 1950s. It was always a public setting. Kennels Beach was always a respite for farm families and farm workers after a hard day to come down and have a fish fry or go swimming in the lake. Farming failed my grandfather during the Depression. He began renting out woolen bathing suits at 10 cents a day, fishing rowboats at 25 cents a day, and leasing waterfront lots, 40 feet by 100 feet, for $10 a year, with 99-year leases and options for 99 more. He liked people.
Mr. Kendall, let me kind of butt in here. If we're going to get you out of here by 11 o'clock, we need to kind of streamline this. and I know it's important to you and your sister, but it's not going to have a bearing on the valuation of your lots. It appeared to me when I looked over your material that your main contention is that of these 13 lots, I believe it was, it looked like you didn't have a problem with the valuation of 2 of them, but it was 11 lots that don't perk. So maybe that's where you should focus, and we look at that unless you've got some other reason why we have to value at true value. And what anything else really, unless it affects the true value of the lots, it doesn't really matter. So that's what we're dealing with. So you want to talk about that? Am I correct in the way I'm presenting this?
Yeah, it doesn't say that I don't have any problem with the 2 lots, even that we made a compromise solution on, or a compromise proposal on. The 1 lot, when we appealed, we did not.
Excuse me, Mr. Kennel. I've got Mr. Guest that wants to ask something or point out something. Mr. Guest?
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm very sorry to interrupt, but I realized something when Mr. Kimmel was speaking. Mr. Kimmel indicated that he was from Holly Springs. I am also from Holly Springs. I would like to disclose that I believe I have met Mr. Kimmel in the past, although I do not know Mr. Kimmel. I do not have any interactions with him. But if he is from Holly Springs, I need to disclose that in the event that any of the parties would like me to recuse myself.
Mr. Kennel, Mr. Baxter, either one of you under those circumstances, certainly it's not required. Either one of you want to request that he recuse himself?
No, Mr. Chairman.
I don't, although in Googling Mr. Guest, it turns out one of his good employees is my next door neighbor, Jimmy Cobb, who saved my life literally 12 years ago. And
well, let's don't get into too much, Mr. Kennel. You might talk yourself into having him recuse himself.
Well, I don't know how he's going to vote.
I feel I can be completely independent. I just wanted to disclose.
Okay, all right.
Let's continue.
We'll consider it closed. And go ahead, Mr. Kennel. Thank you, Mr. Guest.
Anyway, to get past the, I'm just trying to say Kennels Beach as a whole is unique in Pamlico County and has been a close worker with the Pamlico County period for 95 years. We started Kennels Beach Incorporated in 1993. There were appraisals on the land at that time, and then again in 2004, and then in 2012, and now this year's. The purpose for doing that was not land development. It was for legal protection, marginal land, attempt at a marginal land upgrade, and wetlands park creation on Duck Creek with a canoe ramp, both with the state and with the county. The riverfront property, the strip that has basketball court, picnic area, Sunday school, community piers, boat ramp, etc., that was all leased to a community group for $1 a year for 50 years on the basis that it be open to the public. If there's anything that's been constant about Kennels Beach, it is that it is open to the public. There were 39 total lots in the 2 subdivisions created. 28 were perkable. 26 of those have sold over 25 years. The 11 non-perkable lots that we are appealing here, 0 have sold over 25 years. All of the sales have been word of mouth by sons and daughters, grandchildren, good friends of people who were in that original 20 families. There's never been any realtor. There's never been any advertisement at all, period. We have been a good citizen of Pamlico County with the Historical Society in terms of getting it started and helping build it. And the chairman of the commission, the Board of Commissioners in Pamlico County, is the head of that Pamlico Historical Society. Camp Caroline, Bethany Christian Church, Arapahoe Charter School, Origin, building a gymnasium and honoring our mother, and a new charter high school are all where much of the money that for the lots that are sold have gone. The fact that one lot only in the last 8 years has been sold, and that to our first cousin family for several purposes in 2018 was to meet a 25,000 pledge we made to the new high school. It's also because I had open heart surgery that year. We had some money issues that we needed to get some help on. Okay, to the lots. I think this is in your package. This is a section of the lots that include the lots that are in contention.
Let me, Mr. Kimmel, sorry to interrupt, but to clarify one thing. Is this kind of your total presentation? If it is, I want to just point out, we'll treat all this as testimony rather than you just presenting your case.
Oh, yes, please do.
Okay. All right, we'll consider all this as testimony, and you're under oath. And then once we're through, then we'll go into, we'll let Mr. Baxter do a, well, let's do this. Let's stop right here for a minute. Mr. Baxter, you want to do a short opening, and then we'll let him finish his testimony, and you'll have a chance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be brief. Pamlico County reappraised, countywide reappraisal in 2020 per the general statutes, duly created and adopted a 2020 schedule of values. For Kennels Beach, the properties in contention are 13 lots, as Mr. Kennel said. The contention of Kennels Beach is that the lots aren't perkable, with the exception of, I believe, 2. The county has not seen any documentation or evidence that the lots will not perk. Absent that, the county has to value them as if they will perk. And with the exception of one lot, which is currently valued at $3,698, there was a document that said that lot won't perk from prior valuations, and we treated that lot accordingly. But the others, there's been no documentation presented that the lots will not perk. Our evidence will show that based on comparable sales in the county, that Pamlico County has valued these lots at their true value in money, has not done so arbitrarily or illegally, and that there's no evidence that it exceeds these lots exceed the true value. And there's been no evidence, and I don't believe there'll be any evidence presented to the contrary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Kennel, with your testimony.
Okay. Yeah, we don't go get a lot tested for perk in order to prove to the county. This is the first time I've heard that that is the reason that the one lot that was still at the $5,000 or $6,000 level was not raised up to the $35,000, $36,000 level. We're finding a lot of things out at the last minute, including that one right there. But the map, if anybody, there's a certain thing called common sense as well.
All right, let me ask you, you're holding up a map. Is it one of your exhibits? And if you'll identify that.
It is. It's one of the exhibits that I hand delivered down to the commission.
Is it the one that has some red lines, circles?
Yes,
okay.
Those are water. Those are wetlands, underwater lands, and it's for 2 reasons.
All right. Do all of our commissioners have that so they can have it? Okay. Go ahead. We have that, so now we can go along with you.
The north boundary of the property is a sluice that goes down to Duck Creek. Along the property line, this this was a ditch that my dad had dug in 1972 in order to drain the wetlands all back in here. Problem is that the water table rose from the river, and now it is sort of at times pushing water back in. Anytime there's a heavy rain or certainly a hurricane or anything like that. Like I say, if you look at, well, all the overhead shots, the aerial photography, all you got to do is look at the land, the tree cover, and tell this isn't just a few pine trees, you know, scattered around.
All right, Mr. Kendall, let me ask you so we'll be clear. Which lots do you contend are not permeable? By number, please.
Okay, all but number 7 and 8.
All but 7 and 8. So, so is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and what about 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, 16, 17, 18, 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And everything on the east side of the Willa Willa Lane, you know, is perkable. It's higher ground. It is sandy soil. And the lot that sold was the corner lot right as you turn to the cul-de-sac.
Mr. Chairman, it looks like some people have some comments or questions.
All right, I was looking at the map. Let's see, Commissioner Peasley, and then we'll get Ms. Adams, looks like.
Okay, Mr. Kennel, you've been referring to different directions on the map, and just for
I'm sorry.
purposes of the record, it doesn't have where north is. So as I understand it, south has James Brenson. So that would be the bottom of the page. Is that correct?
East. That's east.
No,
East.
Jim. Yeah,
Okay, well, okay, please hold on just a moment. Okay, Ms. Adams, my question is to the witness that's on the stand, and that's Mr. Kennel. So, Mr. Kennel, where is north on this map?
The top.
Okay, but for purposes of the record, we need to identify something on the map that identifies what is north. Is there's a road on here or something that says James Brenson. Is that north?
No, the back end of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7. That whole property line is north.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's what I think we needed to know.
Thank you. Yeah.
And everything east of there. East of there.
Did you have anything else, or was that what you wanted to clarify? Ms. Adams.
Thank you. No, one of the points I wanted to clarify. Yes, we did not. One, we didn't know that we needed to have had all the lots.
All right, we'll let you testify in a minute. I thought you wanted to clarify about the map. Okay, we'll let you testify in a minute.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Kennel.
Well, there's a second attachment that was in the package I delivered down to the state that was not in the stipulation because their lawyer, Mr. Baxter, would not put it in because it had our estimate of the fair value of the lots. This goes back to mid-90s when it was formed, 2004, 12, and 20 estimations.
All right, we have that one. That's the last page, I think, and I see it has. Is that the tax values for 2004, 2012, 2020?
Ramp up all lots by 800%. That's enough to call, somebody should communicate with somebody. And this was 2019 and 2020, and I recognize 2020 was a COVID year for everybody, but communication is a great thing. Same thing happened in 2004 and 2012, in which different appraisers, they went down and looked, and this is what they came up with. At the time that all the
excuse me, Mr. Kendall, I think Hold on, Mr.
that
Chairman. I think
are
Mr. Wheeler,
in
Commissioner,
the
Vice Chairman Wheeler has a
the master
question or
sheet
comment.
that
Mr. Kennel,
the county has put
Mr.
out.
Kennel, Mr. Kennel,
There still had
Can
been
you hear
nobody
me?
that ever gone down there and looked.
Mr. Kennel, can you hear me?
Some of the county commissioners had, but not the
Apparently he
not
can't
the
hear me.
appraiser.
Okay. I'll get to you in just a
I've
minute,
heard a
Mr.
rumor
Chairman
that the
Wheeler.
appraiser finally went down because this was starting to get difficult. So let me go now with my comments upon the
All right,
appraisals
Mr.
that were
Kennel,
made.
Mr. Kennel,
First
Mr.
was the lot that sold to my cousin, which was for other purposes rather than just trying to sell lots. That we did not find out till the very last few minutes of the first appeal hearing, that's what they used. I guarantee you, we never proposed that as it says in the stipulation or as it says in this sheet, that the owner has submitted one comparable sale, which the county also used below. That's not true, period. We never put it in. We never knew that's what was going on. When the appeal period was delayed from the June 1st meeting to the September meeting, the appraiser was sent back out to find comps. And the computer overfly produced myriads of pictures. All of the lots that are listed in this sheet. My sister and I, in some cases, have visited all these lots, and we have some comments.
All right, Mr. Kennel, can you hear me?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry,
Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing well.
All right. Can you hear me now? Can you cut your volume up?
Okay, I can.
Can you hear me now?
No, I can hear you barely in the background.
All right. Can everybody else hear me okay? All right. Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
Mr.
so,
Kennel, is it possible for you to turn the volume up on your phone?
I'm sorry, all of a sudden I'm not hearing. I'm seeing
All
and
right.
not hearing.
All right. Are you hearing me now?
Just barely.
Okay.
I mean, I can hear that you're talking. I'm not understanding all the words.
All right. I need you to stop for a minute. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm right at the crucial point.
All right. Well, I still need
all
you to
the
stop for a
lots.
minute, and then we'll let you
Okay.
get back to your crucial point. Vice Chairman Wheeler.
Mr. Kennel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've got it close to the ear. I can hear you. Yes.
Can you tell me what agency in Pamlico County determines whether a lot is perkable or not?
Yes. Oh golly, Jenny, help me.
Would that be the health department?
Yeah,
Yes.
the health department. Yes.
Do you have, I can find nothing in your file that has anything from the Pamlico County Health Department saying those lots are not perkable. Is that correct? That there is?
That is correct. And I've just heard for the first time today that the one lot that they, lot 19, they did find something that said it was not perkable. We don't do perk tests until somebody wants to purchase the lot for their kids or the grandkids or whoever wants to do it, and then they go do the lot.
All right, thank you.
And the lot number 19, that was our minister for 40 years had bought a lot he paid $6,000 for his. It perks it's number 14, I think it is 13. He,
All right,
he
thank you.
bought
All right, we'll get back. Go ahead,
Okay.
Mr. Kennel. We'll let you.
Okay.
You said you were near the crucial point, and then we're going to hear, we'll let Mr. Baxter cross-examine you, and we'll hear from your sister then.
Okay, these comments are on the county comp matrix that they pulled out. All the nine comps that they listed, other than the one that is on the property, the 9 they went searching for were all in the 6 to 12 miles away. We visited all of them. All of them are on paved streets. All are cleared. All have homes within a few lots of them. There clearly appears to be no perk issues because all of the people have built, and they're all scaled up to an acre size. Nobody didn't find any acre size lots for comps, and then simply stated that they were selling half acres for 15 to 20,000, and they scaled it up to $30,000-$40,000 per acre. And the simple point we would make is that I'm going to make it. I'll make it. I think that the county failed in 4 ways in dealing with this whole issue. Number 1, there were no communications, coordinations, site visits in 2019 and 2020, where this was an obvious big issue when you have this big a change. The second is that the initial use of a single lot sale applied across to 13 other lots is not good practice, without ever finding out that lot sale was a special one in 2018 that was not a typical lot sale. Third, the computer overfly attempt after the appeal, was almost an overkill. I mean, that the county was gone wide. And the fourth one is that there was zero consideration of the Kennels Beach Incorporated, the proposed compromise at either our September appeal hearing, 2020, or in the pre-hearing conference.
Well, Mr. Kennel, we can't get into the pre-settlement matters at this point, so we'll need to hold on that. So anything else?
No, I think that's that got
Okay.
my emotions as well as some reason.
Okay. Let me ask Mr. Baxter, would it help if we hear from the testimony of Ms. Adams first, and then you cross-examine both of them? It may help clear some of this up, or do you want to cross-examine him first?
I'm fine with hearing Ms. Adams first, but I would like to object first. It was when we were having the audio issues where Mr. Kennel held up the handwritten chart with allegedly prior values. The thing I objected to and is not in your materials, and I would like to object to it being considered now, to the extent it's purported to show prior values issued by any kind of professional appraiser. That's the reason I objected to it being put in the pre-hearing order on pre-hearing conference. It's not in the form of a standard appraisal, and there is no appraiser who appraised the property here today to testify so that I can cross-examine him or her. So that's why I object to that particular document being considered. But yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm fine hearing Mrs. Adams after that.
Okay, let me rule on that. It appears to me that what the document does, it sets down the assessments for 2004, 12, and 20, and his opinion as to what the value should be for 2020. And so I'll admit it for that purpose. It's his opinion is the last column, and all the others, unless and you can if you think any of that information as to this assessments for 4 and 12, 2004 and 2012 and 2020, if you think any of that's wrong, you can point that out in cross-examination. So, okay. We'll admit
Those are
that.
history. Those are history, not. Those are history.
All right, we have it. Okay, Ms. Adams, would you like to add some things from what Mr. Kennel has told us?
Yes, and thank you very much. One, living here, so I'm on these lands all the time walking dogs, and in connection to what the idea is that we have not paid for anything to be perked officially by the health department. Yes, that's true, but I don't know how much y'all know about boggy lands, but if there are earthworm casings or ants bringing soil up from below and you get to see them, you know what is a perkable and what's not because of the color of the soil that the ants bring up. If mushrooms are growing on land, then it's nitrogen poor and therefore mushrooms grow. So it's not perkable land. What I'm living on right now was not perkable except for one small little place, and that's where we had to put our septic tank. But everything is septic tank. It would be so nice at some point in time to be able to have other systems to be able to, we're not part of this of the sewer system in the county. So while there's nothing official from the health department, if you walk the land, you will see when there's standing water, when the rains come, when there's 20 inches there, it does not go down, it does not perk. So I understand you have to go with what's on record, and my brother's idea of common sense is what we look at. So if anyone purchases that land, they're going to have to find some other way to be able to have a sewage situation. There are lands, there's lots over all off of the other part of the beach here where the lots did not perk. So like 7 or 8 different families bought one lot that was high enough, and they have like 7 systems on that lot. So perkability here at this end of the county is extremely important. And our hope was that at some point in time, technology would be such that someone could purchase a land if they wanted to, and that would be able to use it. Okay.
All right, is that it? Okay. Let's see. I see some questions from Mr. Guest, Mr. Peasley. Do you want to hear from Mr. Baxter's cross first, or you want to ask your question first, Mr. Peasley?
Yeah, on the document that purports to show the assessment's history. And there's a difference between an appraisal and an assessment, in my mind. An assessment is something where the county has applied a value. Is what's written on this sheet, is that what the county has put as the value over time, or is this something that you have assigned the value? Either the county did it or you did it. Which is it?
May I answer?
Sure.
Okay. That's what we paid taxes on. I'm not sure of your terminologies and everything, but that was what they told us the value was that we paid the taxes on.
Thank you.
And that was what my ruling was based on. It said the assessments. So that's what I had thought it meant. All right, Mr. Guest.
Thank you. My question is, the properties that you're currently disputing, are any of these properties currently under a lease agreement, a 99-year lease agreement?
No.
No. Okay. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
All right. Okay, Mr. Baxter, I think we'll hear from you on your cross.
And I don't have that many questions, Mr. Chairman. The first one is for Mr. Kennel. You stated previously that no lots that are disputed have been put on the open market for sale. Is that correct?
They've not been put on any advertised open market for sale, have not gone through any real estate people. People in Kennels Beach know the land. They know Kennels Beach. These lots are all there, in part, as Jenny said, waiting for someday technology to overtake, or somebody might buy a lot just to be able to look at it. don't plan to build on it at all. But the simplest statement is, of these 11 lots, in 25 years, none have sold. Now, we've not been actively pushing. I've joked that I can put an ad in the New York Times and get some Yankee to come down here and buy them all. It ain't the way we do business. These are family. Like I say, all the lots that are sold have been sold to family generations, kids, grandkids, good friends, relatives. Period.
All right. My next question is, you mentioned that you have not gotten a perk test for any of the disputed lots. Is that right?
No, there was one that the daughter of our minister who bought his own lot at $6,000 and the next door lot at $10,000 was going to buy one for his daughter, who actually started doing some clearing of the big pine trees, and I was not aware that a perk test had been attempted. In any case, they did not buy it. They finally decided they were closer to work and a hospital down at Reelsboro. And like I say, today's the first day I found out that there was a perk test that was on the record. And by the way, I think that is the way things are done down there. If you're a high-end development, yeah, you go get perk tests on everything.
All right.
As I'm sure the 9 comps, have done. They wouldn't be cleared otherwise.
Thank you, Mr. Kendall. Those are all my questions for Mr. Kendall. My next questions are for Mrs. Adams. Are you a licensed soil scientist, Ms. Adams?
Absolutely not, but an 8th grade science teacher.
All right. Do you have experience testing soils for perkability, including hydrology?
Absolutely not, but when the health department came with my 8th grade science class and drilled cores to show us the difference, I saw those.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Adams. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Let me ask this, Mr. Baxter, assuming these lots don't perk, what would it take for them to show the county that they don't perk? It sounds like on the one lot you knew it didn't perk and it was reduced down to evaluation somewhere close to what the appellates are contending. Is there something where if we take all the evidence and we continue this for 30 days and let them have a chance to see if they can show you that it won't perk, then this matter might be settled. If not, we'll give a ruling.
Mr. Chairman, the county, and it's my understanding that, from our contract appraiser and from the tax assessor, that Kennels Beach has been provided that information that the county, if it's presented with a piece of paper from a licensed soil scientist or from the Pamlico County Health Department saying that the lot will not perk, we will reduce the value accordingly based on the schedule of values. My understanding is the appellants have failed to do that, and that's why we're here today. Pamlico County.
Well, they indicated they didn't know that was required. So let me ask.
As a matter of fact,
Ms. Adams, Mr. Kennel, hold on.
Yeah.
Ms. Adams, hold on, Mr. Kennel. Ms. Adams, is this something that, since you now know about the requirement, that if you have some time, you can get done and see if what you're contending is accurate, and if what you're contending the county says, if you can show them that they can take that and do like they did with the other lot?
I believe that would be a plan, sir. If I just need to set the record straight, one, please. Number 18 was the one that that the daughter of a neighbor had looked at. So therefore, I'm baffled totally why number 19, which is the reduced value one, had a perk test. I do not believe it had a perk test because it would never have had a reason to. But yes, we would be more than happy to go look at with the county health department. However, your 30-day extension of time may be difficult because that's often longer periods of time before you can get somebody to come out and do the test. But I will, with my brother's approval, I'll definitely go and look for that.
All right, well, we could give a little bit more time, but let's go ahead and get all the evidence and then we'll see what we want to do with it.
Well, let me ask a rather pointed question. Since when did a required perk test on a lot be a requirement for the not the assessment, but the appraisal value?
Mr. Kendall, there has to be some evidence that the county can use to adjust for that.
How about common sense?
Well,
how about physically visiting?
Well, that could be a part of it too. Just hold on. During that period of time, if they can come out and look at it, I would hope they would come out and look at it. If they determine it without having to perk test, then that might take care of it. If you have to have a perk test, then that would be your option to go ahead and do that and get it to them. And then we'll see what happens to this. But let's get back.
And you do understand that in Pamlico County, getting a perk test is no easy issue.
All right. Well, we'll give you that opportunity if we decide to do that. Mr. Kendall,
once you get a perk test,
Mr. Kendall.
Okay.
All right.
I'm sorry, Judge.
Okay. We're trying to get this thing moving along, trying to help you possibly. So let's see if we can get through the county's testimony, and then we'll see. Mr. Peasley, I believe you have a question.
Yes. Do the taxpayers not want the opportunity to go get a perk test? Because it sounds like you don't want it. And if you don't want it.
Ms. Adams, yes, I'll recognize you.
Thank you. I believe that would be your offer to us to be able to solidify the decision on this. And so if my brother is willing, I'm more than willing to go and see what we can do about getting that. It's just it's the principle involved. The perk test was never required before, so that's interesting why it's required now.
Well, I understand you said you didn't know it, but you do know it now. So
yes,
we're trying to see. Mr. Kendall, is that something you want us to consider?
I want to say something about it.
Well, you better not say too much, or you might talk yourself right out of getting any relief.
I'm satisfied with common sense here.
Do you want Mr. Kendall? Mr. Kendall,
2004 and
Mr. Kendall, do you want the opportunity to be able to show the county that these lots will not perk? If so, we'll consider continuing the final decision. We'll take all the testimony, but we'll delay making a final decision to give you and the county the opportunity to see if you can show them that it won't perk. Now, do you want that opportunity or not? Yes or no?
Statement is, I think that the commission here may be setting a bad precedent.
Do you, yes or no, Mr. Kimmel?
Is kennel like a doghouse?
I'm sorry, kennel. Okay, excuse me. I'm trying to get you out of the doghouse, maybe.
I don't want to get into a bigger doghouse, you know, with you folks. I'm not sure you understand kennel Pamlico County.
It does not
fully.
matter, Mr. Kennel, what your purpose is there. That doesn't affect this. Yes or no?
Well, with a gun to the head, yes.
All right, all right. I think Miss Adams.
And
thinks,
not
it's
a happy camper at all.
Well, maybe you'll be happy if we continue it. If not, you haven't probably lost anything. And Ms. Adams, I think, is happy to say yes, from what I understand. And she's giving a couple thumbs up. All right, let's take the rest of the testimony. And I'm sorry, did I miscalculate?
Yeah, that was a this, not a this. Yes,
So
yes, we will.
Is your
do it.
answer,
Yes.
is your answer yes?
My answer is yes, with a gun to my head like my brother, but yes, yes,
All
it's a pathway.
If you feel compelled to do this, and I don't want you to accept it, we'll go ahead and I'm trying to give you an opportunity not to put a gun to your head.
It is a pathway. Yes, thank you.
But-
Mr. Peace,
Has the plaintiff rested or the
Well-
taxpayer rested?
we haven't got to that yet. We're going to,
Okay.
after Mr. Baxter, I think, has finished his questions, we'll give Mr. Kennel an opportunity for
Hi, come on in.
short rebuttal testimony, and then we will see what questions anybody else has, and then Mr. Baxter can have an opportunity. Mr. Kennel, have you finished with everything you wanted to present? Do you have something else?
There's a lot of stress on the other end.
Yeah, my wife's hospice nurse just banging on the door.
Okay. Well,
I had
we're
let
sorry
her in,
about
so
that too.
I didn't hear the last comments.
Okay, we lost your video. If you want to get back on the video, we can hear you.
I don't.
I just asked if you had any other, there you are. If you had any other evidence, testimony in rebuttal, in addition to what you had presented after Mr. Baxter asked you the questions. Anything else, Mr. Kennel?
I,
Ms. Adams, anything else?
I think we're good to go with that. And this audio is a problem. So let's go ahead and go with Mr. Baxter, if that's possible.
Okay. Mr. Baxter, you have, we'll admit that we've already admitted all the exhibits, I think. And Mr. Kennel and Ms. Adams have rested, as I understand it, their case, and it's to you now, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would like a point of kind of procedural clarification. I mean, I intended to make a motion to dismiss based on the failure of the taxpayer to meet their burden. But if the commission's considering continuing this matter 30 or 60 days, I would like that opportunity if they fail to produce documentation from the health department within
Sure.
30 or 60 days. And so kind of hesitant to present my case in chief without making that motion.
I understand, and you make that motion, and I'll hold it under advisement, and it certainly could be granted in the future, but we'll let you go ahead and do the testimony
Okay.
so that we don't have to come back and do testimony if it gets to that point. Is that
All right.
okay?
Thank you, Mr.
So I'll
Chairman.
consider you've made the motion, and we'll take it under advisement.
All right. All right. Thank you. All right. And I would like to call Mr. Vincent as Pamlico County's first witness.
Okay, Mr. Vincent, you've been sworn, affirmed, and so Mr. Baxter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vincent, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you please tell me your professional background?
Okay, sure. My name is Ryan Vincent. I own a company called Vincent Valuations. We do mass appraisal work and contracting all throughout the state of North Carolina. I started doing this about 15 years ago. I've worked in 7 states and 33 counties doing mass appraisal work in my career. I'm certified by the North Carolina Department of Revenue in mass appraisal. I'm also an IAAO instructor and have taken 12 IAAO classes regarding mass appraisal and appraisal work.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I move to tender Mr. Vincent as
Without objection, so admitted.
in real property.
He's admitted.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vincent, if you will flip to Pamlico County's exhibits, in the first exhibit, Exhibit 1, do you recognize this document?
I do.
What is it?
This is the workup we did for the Board of E&R regarding the said Kennels Beach appeals.
All right, and the first column after the labels, it just says subject multiple. That column there, that is, what is that indicating?
That's referring to all the lots that are under appeal right now. We felt that the values are all fairly similar and the lots are all fairly similar.
Mm.
And
All right.
so we looked at them as compared them each.
Okay, and then the other columns, what are those?
The other columns going horizontally are what we felt were comparable properties to this, and the other columns going vertical is the location of those properties, the distance from the subject, the sale date that those properties sold, the sale price they sold for. The next column going vertical is the sale price per acre of said comparables. Next column down is the number of acres, and the last column is any notes we had regarding those sales.
All right, and I would also direct your attention to the subject parcel, and for the commission's information, Pamlico County's exhibits 2 and 3 are the tax card and the aerial view of the first subject parcel, and I believe it is the subject parcels. There are 13 of them, and so that is Pamlico County's exhibits 2 through 27. Because we have an aerial and a tax map or a tax card for each of the subject parcels. If the commission would like to see those, we can certainly go over each of those individually, but I think the way that we value this is Mr. Vincent, you looked at all of these comparables for all 13 lots, is that correct?
Yes, sir, we did.
And why is that? I believe you stated it before, but why was that?
We felt that these lots were comparable to these, and in Pamlico County, sometimes you have to go a little ways out to find comparable properties due to the rural nature, especially Kennels Beach, due to the rural nature of these.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the first comparable property. I believe it says distance next door to lots D091-1-9. Why did you select this as a comparable lot?
We selected this one because it was in the subdivision. It was right next to the lots that appealed. That lot sold on January 23rd, 2018. It sold for $35,000. And we felt that that was probably the most accurate comparable, the most representative of the subject, of the subjects that are under appeal.
That's the lot.
All right.
Please, anybody else have your mics muted except for Mr. Baxter and Mr. Vince and Mr. Vincent, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so the sale price per acre for that lot was what?
The sale price per acre for that lot was $32,710.
And the sale price on average for the Kennels Beach lots is what?
The average assessed value for the Kennels Beach lots that's under appeal is approximately $28,000 per acre.
All right. The next comparable you used is I-092-4-68. Why did you select that one?
We selected that one because we felt it was a comparable lot to this. We understand it is about 10 miles away. It's a little bit smaller, but we felt that it is comparable.
All right. And the price per acre on that lot was?
The price per acre on that lot is $57,613.
Okay. The next comparable that you used was F093-138. Why did you select that?
Again, we felt that that was a comparable lot to these. It sold May 26th of 2017, and it sold for $29,411 per acre.
All right. The next comparable you used is F093-3-21. Why did you select this lot?
Again, we felt that that one was comparable to the subject property, and that one sold in July of 2019. That sold for $28,723 per acre.
All right. The next is F093-3-40. Why did you select this lot as a comparable?
We felt that that lot was comparable to our subject lots. That lot sold September of 2019, and it sold for $32,667 per acre.
All right. The next parcel is J083-27-37. Why did you select this as a comparable lot?
We felt, again, that that one was comparable to our subjects. That one sold 4 of 2016 for $32,679 per acre.
All right. The next lot is J083-28-4. Why did you select this lot?
We felt that that one was comparable, and one thing that I would like to add is these lots are generally all in proximity to the water, similar to the Kennels Beach ones. They are not waterfront lots. I want to make that clear. They are not waterfront lots, but they are all in proximity to the water or in a waterfront type development similar to Kennels Beach.
All right. And all these comparables are vacant lots, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And do you state the price per acre on 83-28-4?
I did not. It's $28,451 per acre is what it sold for in March of 2016.
All right, thank you. The next is J083-38-3. Why did you select this parcel as a comparable?
We felt that that was, again, similar to the Kennels Beach lots. That one sold December of 2018 for $40,706 per acre.
All right. The next lot that you selected as a comparable is J083-38-2. Why did you select this parcel?
We felt that that one was comparable, similar type of subdivision, and that one sold the same day as the previous one, 12 of 2018, and that sold for $32,010 per acre.
All right, and the last one you used is E09-4-5. Why did you select this parcel?
We felt that that one, again, was also comparable. That sold in November of 2018, sold for $42,667 per acre. Now, I will note on that one did sell with a boat slip that was deeded to it. The tax value on that boat slip, however, is $2,813.
All right. And you valued one of the subject parcels D091-1-19 at $3,698. Why was that?
There was no perk documentation in the tax CAMA system. I do not know where that documentation came from, but if there is documentation and notes in the system as to a lot that doesn't perk, we carry that forward. We assume that once that documentation is submitted, that carries forward in the forthcoming reappraisals. And we took off the percentage, I don't know the exact percentage, I believe it's 90%, due to that lot having no perk documentation submitted previously.
All right. Is there any other testimony you'd like to give regarding your valuation of Kennels Beach?
Not at this time.
All right. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Kennel or Ms. Adams, either one of you want to ask Mr. Vinson some questions? Ms. Adams.
Thank you. Hi, Mr. Vincent.
Hey.
When you give a value, the question was asked to you if the average sale value that the very first lot, the D09119, is the lot that we're comparing everything to. The question was asked to you what the average sale was for the other lots in the area. You didn't come up with an average that I heard. That's just that one individual lot that sold isolated from the others. Did you have a way to look are we talking sale value here, or are we talking appraisal values?
The way that I interpreted that question was what was the average assessed value of the parcels that are under appeal, and that's how I answered that question.
Okay.
And that's why I answered that question at approximately $28,000 per acre.
Okay. I need to disagree with you on one of them, the one that's on
Ms.
151.
Ms. Adams,
Yes.
you need to ask the question. You
Okay.
have a chance to.
Okay. Thank you for correcting. From your testimony, you said that none of these lots had a house on it. Are you absolutely sure about that, sir?
When the lots sold, as of the date of the sale, they sold as vacant lots. Subsequently, there may have been houses constructed on them. I am unsure of, as of today, if there is houses on these lots, but when the lots sold, they sold as vacant lots.
When an appraiser goes in to look at the lot to find out what its value is, I'm listening to that the attribute that's needed to make that appraisal seems to be acreage and sale value. Is that correct? Are there other attributes?
Can you explain that question?
I'm thinking about, do you consider soil type? Do you consider closeness to a fire extinguisher? Do you consider closeness to a fire station, or the perks of having a country club right next door? Are there other attributes that are added into the assessment of the value?
For the sake of this, I do not know the distance to fire departments for these lots. I do not know that. And I am unsure of if some of these have clubhouses or not. I know they were in similar type of subdivisions, similar type of waterfront subdivisions, or very close proximity to water.
And the definition of close proximity, I would assume, would be being able to see the water. Would that be correct?
That would not be correct. You are not able to see the water from all of these lots. They are in close proximity to the water, meaning generally within approximately about a half a mile of the water.
Okay. I've seen the lots, and I was pretty much able to see the water from most of them. So,
Objection,
Ms.
Mr.
Adams, you need to ask questions.
Make it a
You're not
question.
allowed to testify at this
okay,
point.
thank you. My bad. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Okay.
And my dog.
Okay. All right. I see Mr. Gass has a question. Mr. Gass.
Thank you. This is for Mr. Vincent. So Mr. Vincent, just a couple of questions to clarify for me and get on the record. The subject property, is the subject property adjacent to, do they have paved roads in this subdivision?
They have paved roads going down there, but I do not believe that there is a paved road going to these particular lots.
Okay. On the comparable properties, did those properties have paved roads to those properties?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The subject property, there was testimony earlier that part of this property floods. The river has increased in height. Did you take into any consideration of any type of, I don't know, functional obsolescence or anything that would result in an adjustment if for wetlands or if the properties were to flood? Do you have any knowledge of that?
I actually have here, and it was not submitted into evidence, but the flood zone maps, and according to the Pamlico County GIS and the FEMA flood maps, these lots are not in the flood zone.
Okay.
The
Any
subject,
others
excuse
would
me,
not?
the subject lots are not in the flood
Okay.
zone.
Do the subject lots have the same type of utility or utility access that the comparable sales have?
I do not know the answer to that question. I
Okay.
do not know the answer to that.
Are there any demographic differences in the areas of the county compared to where the subject lots are compared to the comparable sales lots? Are the comparable sales lots, are they building, very expensive houses, and in the subject lot area they may not be? Or is there any other demographic differences, closeness to schools, school districts, anything that would make one piece of property more value compared to another?
When it comes to school districts, I am unsure of the school districts of the subject lots. I know Pamlico County only has one high school, so everybody from excuse me, two high schools. So Pamlico County primarily, everybody goes there. And that being said, demographics as it relates to structures, Kendall's Beach has some fairly nice waterfront homes, and it has also some very, I don't know how I would describe it, very unique, smaller types of homes in it. And so some of these subject lots have larger houses going in them. Some of them have what I would consider average size houses going in them that may be similar to Kendall's Beach.
And my last question would be, would you feel there would need to be any adjustment for acreage size or lot size based on the comparables compared to the subject?
I don't think there would need to be any acreage adjustments. When typically in my experience in Pamlico County, people are either looking for acreage or they're looking for a buildable lot. Our subjects are all buildable lots, and that is why we broke it out on a price per acre to compare them.
Okay. And my last question is, I believe you testified that on the lot that had a no perk, which means it could not perk, that resulted in approximately a 90% valuation discount. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I believe it's 90%. And I can get you the exact number if you'd like. I can
No,
pull it up
that's
here.
okay. That's close enough. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's see. I guess you've had a chance to present Mr. Vincent. Anything else in rebuttal to Mr. You'd like to do, Mr. Baxter? Mr. Baxter?
I have a question if I'm allowed.
We'll get to you, Mr. Kennel. Let's see.
Well, you let Jenny ask the questions.
Yeah, I'm going to let you ask one, but right now I'm let's see if Mr. Baxter, it's his witness right now. We're going to get to you. Mr. Baxter, did you?
I don't have any further questions at this time, Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
Mr. Kennel, now we'll let you ask a question. You have to ask questions, okay?
Yes, I hear that. On any of the on any of the lots that you appraised, do you have evidence that they had perk test?
Are you referring to the 10 comparable lots that are in Exhibit 1?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I do not have any evidence that they do not perk, and we assume for the sake of valuation that they perk until we are given documentation that they do not perk. Once we're given documentation that they do not perk from either a soil scientist or the health department, we make adjustments accordingly.
And when did you get that direction from Pamlico County?
What direction?
That one had to show a non-perk possibility.
That direction was part of the 2020 reappraisal. That was discussions. I do not remember the day those discussions happened, but those were discussions that were had with the previous tax administrator, Miss Sarah Davis.
And when did you let, in this case, Kennels Beach Incorporated, know that that was an item of a requirement, since you did this almost 2 years ago?
We notified.
We could have been a lot further along with perk test. But this is the first we've ever heard.
Well, ask the question,
like
Mr. Kennel. You need to ask questions, not.
Did he know? And I heard the answer was no, he did not.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Kennel?
If a lot were underwater, or let's say 50% of the lot was underwater, would you would still evaluate it as a total acreage assessment, not in the absence of a perk test? Is that correct?
Can you define underwater?
Standing water.
Is it standing water for the whole year? What I guess I don't really understand the question. I'm sorry.
When you happened to be down looking at it and it was standing water and it was a pond, a foot or so deep, where does common sense kick in? And this rule that you say that you're required to go by, kick out?
I don't know if I was asked a question there. I'm sorry. Somebody's saying something and everybody's muted, I think.
May I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I think you're muted.
I'm muted? No, I wasn't muted.
Chair Hunter, you are muted.
Excuse me, I'm muted now. All right. Mr. Kennel, he didn't understand your question, so you need to clarify it. And then Ms. Adams, I'll let you ask a question.
Thank you.
Once we get through Mr. Kennel.
Thank you.
Okay, he asked about, how long does standing water need to stand before he will call it standing water? And I'm saying if one sees a pond, covering half the lot at 2 feet deep, at what point does common sense relative to perking kick in rather than pure acreage terms?
If we noticed standing water out there, we again are not sure if the lot perks or not. And these lots are wooded, so we did not walk through every lot in Pamlico County when we did the reappraisal.
Did you walk through?
No, sir, we did not.
Are you aware that there was a promise that would be done before the first appeal was over? Not this appeal, a year ago appeal.
Objection, hearsay.
Calling me a liar? I have it in writing.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, you're muted.
Excuse me, my wife's been walking back and forth to another room, so I've been muting myself. I usually leave it unmuted. But Mr. Kennel, you just need to ask the question. And if you know, Mr. Vinson, You can answer it. If you don't know, you can say you don't know. Now, Mr. Vinson, do you know the answer to his question?
Could you restate your question, please, Mr. Kennel?
As I understood it, did you know whether or not somebody had committed to come out to walk the property before the first hearing?
I do not recall anybody committing to walking these properties. I know it was requested by Mr. Kennel, but I do not remember anybody committing to said walkthrough.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kennel, anything else? Your sister wants to ask something.
Yeah, she answered much better questions.
All right, you through? All right, Ms. Adams, to ask your much better questions.
Mr. Vincent, help me out, please, in terms of what was the date of the floodplain notice that you had, and did it take into account the 2018 Florence flood?
I do not know the dates of these flood maps. These flood maps are on the county GIS, and that is what we look at.
And how would I find the date of that? Because that would be relevant, since that flood was more than the 1933, more than the 1955, more than the 2014 one.
There's two flood zone layers on the Pamlico County GIS. One says flood zones, one says flood zones _2020, and both of them represent the same no flood zone for these particular lots that are under appeal. I believe if you called the tax office and spoke to one of the GIS folks, they would be able to tell you exactly when these layers from FEMA were taken or last updated.
And because I'm not familiar with it, what do the letters GIS stand for, please?
Geographic Information System.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
All right, if that's all, Mr. Baxter, any other evidence that you have?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I think we admitted all the exhibits, and I think we've had all the testimony. A short closing statement. Mr. Kimmel or Ms. Adams, who wants to make the short closing statement? Ms. Adams has raised her hand, so.
I was going to say I would prefer my brother do that, please, just because he's.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Kendall, it's to you, and then we'll see if any commissioners have any questions after Mr. Baxter gives his short closing statement.
Well,
Mr. Kendall?
I'm going to leave shortly to go get my second COVID shot, and I'm not sure which would be the most pleasant. Kennels Beach as a whole has had a relationship with the county for 95 years. KBI, our company, for almost 30 years. And this process has gotten in the way, has not been pleasant. And in a very real sense, I just fear that there is precedent being set in a county that it's no easy thing to go get a perk test. Time-wise, dollar-wise, the works. If we have to do it because the state has mandated it, I guess we'll do it. But I would argue that the county has not made, that was not a requirement from the county, and we have never been told so. I heard it today for the first time that somebody thinks that was what was required. We have worked with the hired appraisers several times before, a different one each time, who did come down and looked and did do an appraisal as documented in our, and that's documented numbers, not thoughtful numbers. And this time it's just been different and I think a little bit making it up on the fly. And I think in talking with there was no consideration for, we thought, an honest compromise position that we put in. In other words, the total amount, 35,000 on the two lots that we were confident would
Mr.
work.
Ken, we can't get into evidence of prior attempts to settle are not admissible, so you're not allowed to testify about that.
Okay. I'm allowed to be disappointed. And I think that's my, we'll see what we do about appraisals, about water perks.
Ms. Adams, anything?
No, other than thank you. We need to thank you for listening to us and for listening to our emotional and appeals and listening to our logical appeals. And we look forward to having you and appreciate the extension. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you.
All right. And Mr. Baxter, before you do your final summaries, let me ask you a question. I assume that since there's been a request that somebody from the county can go out and look at this property actually physically, is that something you think can happen while this is going on, and then y'all work out a process to see whether or not you determine if it is these lots are non-permeable?
I'm sure that we could probably get out there and walk the lots, but it'd be up to the taxpayer to do the perk documents.
Well, if you walk it and you determine it, I'm not saying you can, but if you can. All right. Some consideration given to these lots because they were very valued much lower until the 220, when some of them jumped from 3,700 to 36,000. So there might have been some information prior that's not that you didn't know about this time. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Baxter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be brief. It's Pamlico County's position that it has valued all of the Kennels Beach incorporated lots at their true value using a sales comparison approach, as Mr. Vincent testified to, that comparable properties were used and the price per acre falls in line with what the Kennels Beach properties were valued at for the 2020 tax year. The Pamlico County has not received any evidence of the site suitability that would suggest anything other than suitable building sites. Mr. Kendall testified that this isn't a typical real estate development because of, certain things in the community, but the way he describes it is a real estate development. And we believe that Pamlico County has valued these lots at their highest and best use, which is residential building sites. And we believe we're bound by statute to do that. And we believe we've done that in this case. And we believe the evidence has shown that. And so we would ask that the commission uphold the assessor's opinion of value. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And I assume, based on what Mr. Vincent said, if you had known or if you determined that these lots won't perk, that they would be assessed at a substantially lower amount based on what he testified. Is that correct?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Determine it. Okay. All right. Questions from commissioners? Wait a minute, Ms. Adams. Ms. Adams.
My bad. I was saying goodbye to my brother because I know he's leaving the house, so my bad.
Okay, well, that's all right. And tell him we hope his wife can do as well as possible. So, all right, thank you. Okay, we're going to go into executive session to discuss this matter, and then we'll be back with you. And Ms. Adams, you'll stay on once we get back, so you'll know what we do with this case. And I assume your brother's gone, and that's to get his shot. That's fine. All right, Ms. Bendit, if you would put us into practice session, please.
Okay, give me just a few minutes. Okay, it looks like we have everybody back.
Okay, all
Missing
right.
somebody?
Are we missing Mr. Baxter? I see him. I don't see Mr. Baxter.
He's not on the attendee list either. I don't know if he left thinking we were done, but he's not on the attendee list anymore.
Well, he's got the next case. He's got the next two cases.
Maybe he had a connection issue and is going to log back in. I'm not sure. Maybe Steve could
Okay.
reach out or something.
All right, well, let's do this. We're going to take a break and he's going to be back with us so we can explain anything else that we might need to when he gets back on, since he'll be back. Ms. Adams, and Mr. Benson, and I assume you'll be in contact with Mr. Baxter and we'll be talking to him shortly when we do the next case. What we've decided to do, we're going to set this case, we're going to hold it and set it for June. And that gives you an opportunity to get with the county and to see what needs to be done. And hopefully they'll come out and look at the property. And if you need it, they'll tell you need to get perk tests and you can get that done. And it sounds like everybody's in agreement. If the property doesn't, those lots don't perk, that they will make an adjustment, substantial adjustment. And that should give you the relief that you were seeking on those
Thank you.
11 lots. So we're giving you an opportunity here. You're not required to do it, but it'll be back on our calendar for June, and we'll make a decision at that time if y'all have not been able to resolve it. You have any questions, Ms. Adams?
No, I just want to make a statement if I may, and I appreciate so much y'all giving us this opportunity. And I'm saddened that we had to use a video conference format, but at least we had the format. And I do need to apologize because my brother just doesn't always understand where the mute button is. So I just appreciate it so much. You're being
Okay,
patient with us.
we understand. And, just a suggestion, it might work better if you deal with the county.
I'm here, so I live here, so I shall be doing that. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to take a short
I'm
break.
checking off.
Okay, yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Chairman, if I
And,
could say something real quick.
yeah, who is it?
This is Ryan Vincent.
Mr.
Dave,
Vincent. Yes, sir.
yeah, Dave said he tried to get back in and he couldn't get back in, and he is going to log off and try to log back in.
That'll be good.
Just so you
We'll
know
get
what it
him.
is.
Yeah, just tell him that we're going to take.
He's back, Mr. Chairman. I'm
back?
sorry. Yes, he logged out, logged back in. He's back.
I got
So-
you. Mr. Baxter, Mr. Benson can kind of explain to you what we just said, and then you're going to be back at this next case. So if you have some questions, we'll try to answer them at that time, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. So we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back for this next hearing with the Hurlins, and then we got a motion after that. So let's try to be back in let's say 10 after 11, but for sure, let's start at 11:15. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Just so you know, Mr. Chairman, and if anybody else who cares to listen, I'm not going to stop the live stream or stop recording. So just mute your microphone and turn your camera off, and I'll just share a screen saying that we're on break.
And I'm muting. Okay, Alexandra, let's see. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's see. I see Terry's box. Don't see him personally. I see Bill, Alex, June, Mr. Baxter, Mr. Vincent, Ms. Young. Ms. Young, you were on yesterday, I believe, weren't you? Nope. Okay. Thought we had somebody on at one point that was just observing. All right, Terry is here. I think we have everybody except the Hurlans. I don't see them. Yes, here they're coming. It looks like. Mr. Hurlan, can you hear me? Mr. Hurlans? Okay, there you are. Can you hear us? Mr. Hurlan, can you hear me? You're muted, I believe. Can you unmute? We see you.
Mr. Chairman, it doesn't appear that he's muted. It appears like there's something else going on. Like maybe his microphone's not working.
Okay. Mr. Hurlan, can you hear us? You can hear us, okay. See if you can get you must be muted some way. Do you have a headphone plugged in? No? Looks like it's showing a headphone, but I guess it shows that for maybe all of us. All right, see if you can.
Mr. Hurlins, if you look on the bottom of your screen where it says mute or unmute, start or stop video, there's 3 dots that say more options. Pick that one and see if you can switch your audio to that so that your microphone will enable. Okay, if that doesn't work, we could get your phone number and we can call you through the WebEx and still have the video going, but call so we have audio as well. You're muted, Mr. Chairman. I see you talking, but I don't hear you. No, the chairman's not muted, and I don't hear him now.
Let's do a test. This is Alex. Can everybody hear me?
I
Put a thumbs up.
can hear you. Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, try unplugging your headphones and plugging them back in. See if that changes anything for you.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it did that. I was on something a couple days ago. Let me plug it back in.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Huh.
All right,
Since
I will get if he'll just give me a thumbs up, I'll get his phone number. He doesn't have to say it or mouth it or anything. I'll get it. But if he'll give me a thumbs up saying he's okay with us giving him a call, but keep his video going. Perfect. All right,
okay.
we'll call you in just a second, okay? Sorry, we're working on getting your phone number. It'll be just a second.
At work? No.
Yes, we can hear you now.
we can hear you now.
You can hear me now?
We
Okay.
can. All right, let's see. I think, Mr. Hurlins, you've been sworn, and I believe you indicated you're the only witness in this case on your behalf. Is that correct?
My wife is here if you need her for anything. I'm not planning to present her.
Okay, well, that's up to you. All right. This is from Pamlico County, Alan and Patricia Hurlins, 20 Property Tax Commission 0313. County is represented by Mr. Baxter, David Baxter Jr., and Mr. and Mrs. Hurlins are appearing pro se. Mr. Hurlins, I read a statement about the standard that we operate under. Were you on this morning when I read that?
I was.
Okay, so I'm not going to read it again. So you know what the standard that we deal with and what your gives you an idea of what you need to be able to show. At this time, I'd like to get a short statement from you just about what your case is about, and then you'll have an opportunity to testify. And we'll hear from Mr. Baxter on behalf of Pamlico County as to his contention, and then he'll have a chance to present his side at a later time. So would you like to briefly tell us about what your contention is?
Thank you. My contention is that the county's 2020 valuation was arbitrary in its exclusion of 4 comparable properties directly across the street from mine in its view of comparables, and instead looked at 4 properties that were either not comparable or old, and that arbitrary behavior produced an assessed valuation that was significantly above what the fair market value was.
All right, you want to tell us what the county's appraisal was and what your contention of fair market value would be?
The county's appraisal was for $24,552, and I think the better appraisal would be about $6,000.
All right. Mr. I am getting a little bit of an echo, and it may be because you're on the phone, but I think we can deal with it. Mr. Baxter, would you like to briefly tell us the county's contention, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. and Mrs. Hurlin's property was part of the countywide reappraisal in 2020. Comparable properties were used. Sales comparison approach was used. It's Pamlico County's contention that the county has appraised the Hurlin's property appropriately, not arbitrarily or illegally used any valuation method other than sales comparison approach with comparable sales data. I believe Mr. Hurlin's will present some assessed values that are nearby, but not comparable sales data. And our contention is that the best and truest and most accurate comparison is through market sales, a willing buyer and a willing seller in the open market. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, okay. Mr. Hurlins, you can present your case now, and you'll be testifying as to this portion, and you can offer any testimony or any exhibits. We'll consider, was there any objection to any of the exhibits that were submitted by either side? I think in the pretrial order it said they were not. So we'll consider all of the exhibits admitted at this point in time. All right, Mr. Hurlins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commission, for giving us a hearing, especially in allowing us to use the internet. When we objected at the county level, we were denied the opportunity to use a visual hearing, and the county found in favor of its original appraisal. I am Alan Hurlins. I am not a real estate expert, although my wife and I have owned our homes in Virginia and North Carolina for 45 years. This is the first time we have contested a real estate valuation. My wife and I bought 2 lots in Oriental in 1999. When we retired in 2004, we had a house built and moved to Oriental. We moved to Leesburg, Virginia in 2018 to be nearer our children and medical facilities. I would like to start today by asking you to pull out my map, which is Exhibit C, and we'll work off of that. First, I'd point out that the top of the map, where it says Pamlico County, NC, is north. I know that was a question from the prior hearing. First, I would like to locate the lots that I think are most relevant on this map, and then the lots the county has identified as comparable properties, and then I'll talk about the values. Do you all have my map, Exhibit C, handy out? I see nods and thumbs, thank you. The lot in question is the lot identified as number 13. You can see the Neuse River on the other side of White Farm Road. Right across the street, I've identified lots 60, 59, 58. I'd also like to talk about 57 if the county doesn't object. The lots the county has identified as comparable sales. If you go from my lot 13 to 12, the next one in that direction would be 11. Right across the street on the riverside of White Farm Road is the lot that's 2097 White Farm Road that they identify as exhibits J and K. If you come over along White Farm Road here, you see 9876. If you go over 2 more, that's lot number 4, which they identify in their exhibits as exhibits H and I, which is the property card and the aerial photograph. The other 2 properties they have identified as comparables. You have to continue along White Farm Road. If you see the property marked Shorey, come across White Farm Road toward the river about halfway to the river line there. And those are lots 2 and 3 of that development, which they identify as lots D and E and lots F and G. I guess one of the first question I think I'd like to address before I go into the specific lots is the relevance of whether the sales methodology is the best methodology or a reasonable methodology or not. When you have very small number of sales, not only is it hard to identify properties, but in this case, all 4 of the properties and sales they identify are old. 2 were in 2018 and 2 were in 2016. And we're talking about value in 2020. With respect to whether or not valuations might be relevant, it's the county that established the fair market value in 2020 of lots 57, 58, 59, and 60. And whatever they used for to the extent actual sales impact the value of the lot right across the street, bordering on the same street, should affect lot 13 any differently than it affects lot 57, 58, 59, and 60, I don't think makes sense. We have a current value established by the county in 2020, and I think that should supersede transactions from, in 3 of the 4 cases, I think are not comparable for other reasons, and therefore it makes sense to utilize the values the county has assigned to the 4 comparable properties directly across the street. In particular, the lots directly across the street. Oh, let me start for a minute. In 2012, they weren't using a per acre valuation system. They were using a per lot system. And all the lots I want to talk about, my lots that I raised, the lots that the county raises, these were all valued at $20,000 in 2012 as normal size offshore lots. And they range in size from more than half an acre. And of these 9 lots, the largest is still less than an acre. So lots 57, 58, 59, and 60, they're between half an acre and 0.662 of an acre, slightly smaller than my lot number 13, which is 0.7 of an acre. But they were all valued at $20,000 in 2012. In 2020, lot 13, the valuation was increased by 22% to the 24,552. The valuation of the other lots was reduced in every case by over 70%. They're all valued below $6,000. The valuations are 5305, 5593, 5554, and 5326. All of them do border right on White Farm Road. 3 of the 4 had the option to have their properties actually face on another street. 1 doesn't, but all of them have the opportunity to face on White Front Road as well. Those lots on that side of the street, on the far side of White Farm Road from lot 13, over there's a tennis court, there's a boat ramp over there. These lots, this string of lots that runs from 13 over to 9, don't have that kind of amenity. One of their lots, the lots they have is J and K, the one at 2097, which is on White Farm Road across from where lot 11 would be. This lot is one of the oldest subdivided sections in the area. It's in a different subdivision from the lot 13. It was a very unusual subdivision. They tried something back in 1970 that they have not tried in any other subdivision. But what they provided here was for vistas. And by covenant, not only are the owners of these lots prohibited from blocking the view of the river, but the owners of each one of these lots along Topsail and then on the next street over is Albemarle, those all have rights as owners to actually put a dock on the river. They're guaranteed access to the river. And if they put a dock on the river, they may compel the owners of the lots between them and the river to share in the costs of building and maintenance. I think that's a very unusual circumstance with very unusual rights. It was a sale in early 2016. which is 5 years ago. I'd like to look briefly at lots they identify as H and I, would be lot 4 in this chain. Other than the fact that that's another early 2016 lot, I would say that that probably is a nice comparable, except it's 5 years old. I think the two most egregious comparables that they're using are the ones identified in their exhibits D and E and F and G, are these ones that are on the far left-hand side of the map that you're looking at. If you come down right below where it says Tarpon, that's the line they're on, and you have to come down halfway and a little more to get to their lots. Those lots are 0.65 of an acre and 0.781 of an acre. And the sales we're talking about there were in 2018. Those lots are also in a different subdivision. That's the Whitaker Point subdivision. In particular, the Whitaker Point subdivision, the owners in that subdivision are part of the Whitaker Point Homeowners Association, and the Homeowners Association owns a full-service marina with a clubhouse and a boat ramp and a swimming pool and a dock, a big dock. Also, $1 million grant was received, and they've completely built up the riprap around the sides of the river to protect that property. So not only is it a 3-year-old set of transactions, but I don't think those properties should be considered comparable at all. That's probably the essence of it. Oh, by the way, on those Whitaker Point lots, the sales material also shows for those properties shows a tennis court, but it hadn't been built by the time we moved out in 2018. I assume it's still not there. I think that's a pretty straightforward summary of the issues. I think if you in fact find that old sales of the best comparable property you can find as sales is the appropriate methodology, then I guess you should support the county. If on the other hand, you think the county's valuation of 4 comparable properties directly across the street from mine should be considered as relevant, if you think that these comparable properties can be used to value mine, but obviously haven't been used to value the 4 properties across the street, if you think it makes sense that the properties be treated reasonably fairly, I think you should find in my favor. I was not able to figure out exactly what percentage or formula the appraiser was able to use or did use to take his per acre valuation and adjust it down to a specific value. So I picked 6,000 as a probable value. It's slightly more than those other 4 properties because my property at lot 13 is slightly larger. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
You do have the opportunity. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm unmuted. You do have the opportunity to call a county witness should you so desire during your case. All right.
I would prefer to use that as rebuttal or questioning, depending upon what argument they present.
Okay. Mr. Baxter to cross-examine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hurlins, the values you're presenting for the lots across the street, are those assessments done by the county or are those actual sales?
Those are assessed, as I stated, those are the assessments the county made in 2020.
All right, and you made a statement that the ones across the street is that the one you say have the vistas where no one's allowed to block the water view?
No, the vistas are related to lot 2097 White Farm Road, which is across White Farm Road from mine, and it is your exhibits
Okay.
J, and K.
I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Very good. That was the only question I had for Mr. Hurlins, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Let me ask you, Mr. Hurlins, is the lots across the street, 60, 59, 58, and I guess the other one you said was 57, are they in a different subdivision?
As I stated, yes, they are. They're in a subdivision that has a tennis court and there's a boat ramp over there.
All right.
Well, actually, and there are four of them. One, it borders White Farm Road and Dolphin Road. Two of them are on White Farm Road, but also can access Soundview if they wish. And one, the only street it accesses is White Farm Road.
Okay. Do you know of any reasons why they would be valued less? Is there any difference in the lots basically in yours except what you just described?
No, sir. I'm very interested to hear what the rationale the assessor is using for considering these four comparables to be useful in assessing 13, but somehow are not useful in assessing 57, 58, 59, and 60.
Well, when you say comparables, you're referring to valuations. Did you have any sales comparables that would show why those lots would be valued less than substantially less?
I'm
than
not
yours?
aware. I'm not aware of any, but I don't access all the relative information easily. I'm not aware of any. The county has not told me of any. And please realize that that almost all the off-water lots, almost nothing here has any building on it whatsoever. Offers are very infrequent. Sales are very infrequent. There's really a very thin market for any of these, and that are not on the waterfront. The waterfront lots are all built up, but nothing on the non-waterfront lots.
All right. Do you have any comparables that would tend to show values in the range you're talking about? Sales?
There are, and if you'll look in I included in my exhibit A, some historical information that I described about various lots along here. I have objected in part because in this thin market, I've objected to the transactions in 2018 and 2016 as being considerably old. Yes, there are older transactions on some of these lots. Lots 6 and 7 were each sold for $10,000 prior to 2016. Lot 12 was sold for $12,000 prior to 2016. So I would like, and lots 9 and 8 were not sales, but my children received an offer. My children own lots 8 and 9, and they received an offer for the two lots together for $12,000. So as I say, the market is incredibly thin and there are not new sales for any of these lots.
Okay. All right. Other commissioners have questions.
Yes,
Mr.
Mr.
Baxter
Chairman.
or, oh, yes, Mr. Wheeler, Vice Chairman Wheeler.
Yeah. Mr. Hurlins, how does lot 13 compare to 8 and 9? Are they similar lots?
Actually, 13 is more cleared. I think 8 and 9 are slightly larger in size, but I believe I gave you the property cards for those, which I will look up and give you the exact numbers. 13 is 0.703 in size. Lot number 8 is larger. It's 0.867. And lot number 9 is 0.860 an acre. So they're all 15%, one is 15% larger, one is 20% larger than lot 13. But they're 8 and 9 used to be relatively completely cleared. And starting in 2004, I put in a row of pine trees separating the two lots, whereas lot 13 is cleared with just a few, I guess they call them anchor trees, a few large, older pine trees.
I guess
on the lot.
I was curious as to how you arrived at $6,000 as the value when there was an offer of $6,000 for 8 and 9, which was turned down. And the lot next door, lot 12, sold for $12,000.
Those are all old. The market has considerably changed as we've had hurricanes over the last years.
But I'm
And specifically on the 6, I looked at the 2020 valuation, assessed valuations made by the county of 57, 58, 59, and 60. The county has evaluated them all under $6,000.
all I'm saying is I'm just going by your document. You use the sales date. You use these old comps yourself.
When I was in part, I was looking at the valuations of those properties as well. And yes, the fact that I used the fact that I'd been offered 6,000 or 12,000 in total for 9 and 8. If the county finds that sales before 2016 are not valid, then in my appeal today, I'm accepting that we're not going to look at older transactions. The transaction for lot 12 was in 2015. The transactions for 6 and 7 were older, and the offers for 8 and 9 never came to fruition.
All right, thank you.
Okay, other questions? All right, anything further, Mr. Baxter? Yes, sir.
Yes, I have one more question for Mr. Hurlins based on the testimony he just gave.
Okay.
Mr. Hurlins, you said that you think this property is worth $6,000. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you just stated that you were offered $6,000 for 2 lots in the same subdivision, but did not accept that offer. Is that correct?
And those lots belong to my children. The offer was transmitted through me. They're viewing the lots as investments for their children, my grandchildren's college education, and declined to accept at that time.
All right. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Hurlins?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right, we'll deem that all exhibits have been admitted, and Mr. Baxter, we'll hear from you.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to dismiss based on the fact that comparable sales have not been submitted. That I believe there were offers that have been submitted, but no separate sales showing Mr. Hurlin's alleged value of $6,000 have been presented to rebut the presumption of correctness. That is my motion that this matter be dismissed because of the fact that Mr. Hurlins has not offered comparable sales to back up his alleged value of $6,000.
Mr. Hurlins, you have an opportunity to reply to his motion.
I don't believe the county has submitted comparable sales. I think 3 of the 4 properties it's submitted are not comparable properties. The one that is most comparable is old, which I don't think should be given much value. And in a market where there are not sales, it's impossible to submit actual sales. I have submitted evidence that shows in lieu of sales, the county itself has assessed valuation of properties that are much lower. And with no explanation. I'm waiting to see if there is any explanation as to why those comparables that the county submits to value my property somehow do not affect the properties directly across the street. So I believe you should dismiss their motion.
Okay, questions from the commissioners before we go into executive session? All right, we're going to go into executive session to discuss the motion.
But before you do, Mr. Chairman, can I just say that the assessed values that Mr. Hurlins is alleging that are across the street are in a different neighborhood than the subject property, and that's all I have to say about that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Hurlins, okay.
the 3 of the 4 that the county is asserting are comparables are not in the same subdivision, not necessarily in the same neighborhood. And with respect to the 2 most recent ones, which were 2018, are substantially different in a substantially different community. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll, at this time, we'll go ahead and go into executive session. Ms. Vendette, we'll be back when we decide this motion.
Okay, give me just 1 second.
I'm not going to unmute because I'm afraid I'll never get back.
Okay, that's fine. Just whenever we're in executive session, we won't be able to hear you, but everybody else will be able to hear you if you are talking to anybody in the room.
Am I on or off?
You're on. Okay. We're bringing everybody back in the session.
All
Part
right,
of my problem.
we're back live streaming and recording, and everybody's back in the group.
Okay. All right. The commission has discussed and decided county's motion, and we've denied the motion. And so, Mr. Baxter, it's up to you now to present your evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pamlico County calls Ryan Benson as a first.
Okay, Mr. Benson, and let me ask you, Mr. Hurlins, I think you got to hear the case before. You understand Mr. Benson's background, and without objection, I'm gonna go ahead and admit him as an expert witness in this matter.
Well, I do not object.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Mr. Baxter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Vincent, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll direct your attention to Pamlico County's Exhibit A. Can you identify this document, please?
This is the comparable sales workup we did for the Board of Equalization and Review.
All right. The first column, is that the subject property that's under appeal today?
Yes, sir.
All right. And the columns that appear to the right of it, what are those?
Those are for for comparable properties that we felt were comparable to the subject.
All right. I'd like to go through each one of the comparables, beginning with the first, which is J083-38-2. Can you describe why this property and its features were comparable to the subject property?
Sure. This property is 3003 Maritime Drive. It's approximately 1,000 feet to the west of our subject property that we have under appeal. This property sold in December of 2018 for $32,010. It was 0.781 acres, so it's very, very similar in size. It is in a different neighborhood, a little bit down the street. That is in the Whitaker Point Subdivision, Phase 1. Our subject is in Windward Shores. It is a similar location. It's also a cleared lot, as is our subject, and it has access to the same utilities that our subject has.
All right.
Mr. Benson, Mr. Benson, let me ask you a clarification point. In the county's exhibits, I don't see a map overall. There is one in the taxpayers' exhibits, his map there. can you relate to, are the comparables on, so you can show us on his map where they are?
I do not have a copy of the taxpayers exhibits.
Okay, Mr. Baxter, can you help us with that, or do you know?
Let's see. I do not. I've got a copy of the map, but without the parcel identifiers on it, I can't discern which lots are the comparables on the taxpayers map.
Okay. Can you identify, you don't have his map, so was there one that was right across the street? Can you help us and identify?
Yes,
which
sir.
one from the subject property? You say 1,000 feet. That doesn't look like it's right across the street. So.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The lot that is right across the street, that is on our sales sheet, that is going to be, let me just pull it up here real quick. That is going to be, I believe, lot 37. That's 2097 White Farm Road. And that is my last comparable. If you want, I can go through that one.
I'm trying to figure out where that would be on his map, which way, and I don't guess I can determine.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr.
Maybe Ms. Young can help us with that.
Is Young, I think she's shaking her head now.
If I could, Mr. Baxter just sent me a copy of the map.
Okay.
So I have what you guys are looking at right now. None of these lots on his map, the subject is lot 13. So on his map, there's lot 12, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then across the street, there's 60, 59, and 58. None of those lots are sales. So I will not reference any of those lots in my sales.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
If you would like, I could identify them on my map and these lots on one of the county's exhibits.
We'll wait, Mr. Hurlins, I think that you will wait and you'll have a chance to explain anything when you have an opportunity to cross-examine him. Thank you.
All right. The next comparable on the list is J083-38-3. Why did you select this as a comparable property to the subject parcel?
So that comparable is right next door to the comparable number 1 that we just went over. It's approximately, again, 1,000 feet to the west of our subject lot. That sold on the same day, but they were purchased from different sellers. That lot sold for $40,000 an acre, $40,706 per acre. It's very similar in size. It's 0.651 acres. Our subject is 0.703. It has the same utilities, and it is a cleared lot, just like our subject.
All right. The next comparable you used was J083-28-4. Why did you use this as a comparable lot to the subject?
This one, I think, is our best comparable, and I think Mr. Hurlins touched on that also. This lot is lot 4 in the same exact subdivision where our subject is located. This sale did occur in 2016, March of 2016. So the sale is a little bit old, but as Mr. Hurlins touched on, offers in this area are infrequent and sales are infrequent. So we chose to use this sale. This sale sold for $28,451 per acre. This lot is a little bit larger than our subject. This lot is 0.949 acres. So about 2.5 tenths of an acre larger than our subject is. But again, this lot I feel is one of our best comparables. It's again in the same exact neighborhood, just right down the road.
All right, and the last
one thing. Oh, Sorry. If I could add one more thing to this lot number 4, our subject lot is fully cleared, except for a few trees and a few trees along the lot line, as Mr. Hurlins described. Lot number 4 is only about a third of the front of the lot is cleared. The rest of the lot is wooded. So if somebody were to put a home there, they would most likely have to do some clearing to that lot.
Okay, Mr. Peasley, I have a
Yeah,
question.
you state the distance is 5 lots east. Is it not 5 lots west?
Yeah, that's actually incorrect. It would be to the west. I'm sorry, to
And
the southwest.
I'm assuming that would be the same for comp 4.
Comp number 4 is, yeah, that would be to the south, and yeah, that would be to the south. Sorry.
Let me ask Mr. Benson. Mr. Hurlins was talking about the one that's down below the tarpon on his map, Exhibit C, the word there, tarpon, and down there towards the river. I think he identified it as F and G down there. Is that where you're talking about?
No, sir. Where he's talking about where it says tarpon on his map, down that direction is comp number 1 and number 2. So JO83 38-2 and 38-3 are down
Okay.
that way. The comp I'm referencing, we just referenced comp number 3, is lot number 4. So that is between lot number 6 and lot number 12.
Okay, now I got you. Thank you.
The lots aren't numbered exactly in an order like you would think in the subdivision.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
All right. And the last comparable that you used, JO83 2737, why was this comparable used, and what features make it comparable to the subject?
This lot is across the street and to the south. That lot sold in April of 2016. That lot has it's a little bit smaller, but fairly similar in size. Still has a what we would consider a building site on it. It
All
has
right,
the same.
let me, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner, Vice Chairman Wheeler.
Yes. Now, this lot is across the street from which lots? See the lots 9876, 54321. This lot is across the street from which of those lots?
This lot, if you're looking at his map,
Right.
And you look across the street, if you go down to say look at lot number 12, it's across the street on White Farm Road. It's the lot that is in the middle between Dolphin and Topsail on his map.
And there's 3 lots. Which one
Yeah,
is it?
it's the one in the middle of those 3.
The one in the middle, and that's sold for
Yes, sir.
32,679.
Per acre, yes, sir. 32,679 per acre.
All right, then it sold for 15.
It sold for $15,000. In the effort of keeping things comparable and on an equal playing field, we try to break it down on a price per acre basis.
So the assessed value of that lot is 15,000.
I do not know the assessed value of that lot. It might be one of these.
Okay, Mr. I assume Mr. Vice Chairman Wheeler, that gave you your.
Yeah, it's confusing to me.
Yeah, all of us. Next time, Mr. Baxter, I think it would help us if you gave us an overall map that would show all the comparables from the subject property on one map, so we can kind of get a
yeah,
feel.
and not only that, you're looking down where 40,700. I assume that was the assessed value, but he can't tell me what the assessed value is, so it's hard for me to compare that lot to the taxpayers. That's it.
The assessed value on lot 37, the last comp, is $21,343.
And what about lot 4?
Lot 4, let me tell you
Your
when
third
those-
comp, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. The assessed value on that lot is $27,402.
All right, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Vincent, go ahead.
I believe I was done. I described
Okay.
comp number 4.
Okay. Mr. Baxter, any further questions of Mr. Vincent?
None at this time, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Mr. Hurlins, you have an opportunity to cross-examine Mr. Vincent at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent, would you pull out your Exhibit E, please?
Mr. Hurlin, we can't see you. Do you want to turn your video on? Don't mess up your audio, but you could.
Yes, can you see me now?
There you go. Thank you. That helps.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you and see you. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Vincent, would you please pull out your Exhibit E?
I have
County
it.
Exhibit E.
Yes, sir. I have it.
Can you identify on Exhibit E where your the lots 2 and 3 in the Whitaker Point subdivision are?
Yes, one of them is highlighted, and the other one is going to be to the south of that lot.
And the lots 6, 7, and 8, 9, can you show where those are?
Lots 7, 8, and 9 of which subdivision?
Windward Shores section, I think it's 3 or 4.
Yeah, those would be if you take the road north and then you take the road east, they would be on the north side or the left side of that road if you're going out.
And are you aware of the ownership and amenities attributable to the property owners in the Whitaker Point subdivision that are not comparable to any of the other lots on this on your exhibit?
Objection to that question.
Well, if he knows, if not, Mr. Hurlins can talk about it during his testimony, I guess, what he knows. Mr. Vincent, do you know on this question?
It is my understanding that those 2 lots do have access to a clubhouse and a community dock.
Are you aware they also have a swimming pool?
I was not aware of that.
Did those factor in any in your evaluation of the assessed value of those properties?
The clubhouse and the community dock did.
Did you take into account the value of those amenities in connection with the appraisal of lots 57 to 60?
Lot 57 to 60 of which subdivision?
Have you received a copy? Have you received a copy of my Exhibit C?
Yeah. Let me pull it
The
up.
4 lots across the street from lot 13.
Yeah, okay, 58, 59, and 60 is what you're referring to.
And the one right below 58 is 57.
Okay.
Were the amenities that are available to the owners of lots 2 and 3 of the Whitaker Point subdivision, were those amenities considered in the valuation of lots 57, 58, 59, and 60?
No, they were not.
Were the sales of lots 2 and 3 considered in the valuation of lots 57, 58, 59, and 60?
No, they were not.
With respect to your last comparable, the Vista lot at 2097 White Farm Road, were the very unusual protective covenants established in 1970 taken into account in your valuation of that lot?
Were the protective covenants of lot 37 taken into account in the valuation of lot 37? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, they were.
And was the valuation of lot 37 taken into account in the valuation of lots 57, 58, 59, and 60?
No, it was not.
With respect to your exhibit I and H, which is lot 4, the sale in 2016 of the most comparable of your lots, was that value taken into account in the valuation of lots 57, 58, 59, and 60?
No, it was not.
Thank you. I have no more questions for this witness.
Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, Vice Chairman Wheeler.
Yeah, Mr. Vincent, according to Mr. Hurlin's evidence, the lots across the street, 57, 58, 59, and 60, last year were valued at $20,000, and after revaluation, they went down to $5,500. Is that true, and why were they reduced so much?
That is true, and there was a sale that occurred that is a different, again, it's a different subdivision with different amenities. And
But
there
it's
was,
directly across the street.
that's true. It's a different sale with, excuse me, a different neighborhood with different amenities to it.
And if you look at your exhibit C, you have that?
Yes, sir. I have it.
Which is an aerial.
Mhm.
That's the taxpayer's parcel. And across the street is lot 57, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Not any difference in the two.
They have access to different amenities and they're in a different neighborhood, different subdivision.
What amenities?
But access is to the same street right in front of both lots, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Guest, Commissioner Guest. You're muted, Alex, apparently.
Sorry, thank you. Mr. Vincent, can you explain to us the amenities that lot 13 has access to that you took into consideration for the valuation of that property?
It's my understanding that lot 13 does not have access to the clubhouse at all, to any of the clubhouses. And it's my understanding also it does not have access to any of the community piers.
How about a boat ramp?
It's my understanding it does not. There is a listing out there for a lot in that neighborhood that does say that they do have access to that, but we could not verify that.
Tennis courts? Do they have access to the tennis courts?
No, sir, they do not.
No.
It's my understanding they do not.
Okay, your comparables F and G, those particular properties, the testimony earlier was that they are in a different subdivision. Is that correct?
FE,
or
is parcel number 833. Yes, sir, those are in a different subdivision.
Okay. And are those the properties that have access to a marina, clubhouse, dock, those types of amenities?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you used all these as comparables for 13. Okay. Explain to us what type of adjustments you made, if any, to 13 to adjust for the lack of access to the amenities that these other properties have.
For the purpose of this, we did not make any adjustments.
Okay. And you testified a few moments ago that lots 57, 58, 59, and 60 are in a different subdivision and that they have different amenities. But there had been a sale there, and I guess that sale must have been a lower value, which is why you valued those lots lower.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you didn't feel that you needed to take that sale into consideration in valuing lot 13.
No, sir, because we felt that the sale J083 28-4, the one in the same subdivision, was the most comparable to our subject property. And that one sold for $28,000 an acre.
Okay, so are you testifying that you placed the most weight on that particular sale?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you feel that lot 13, the subject property, would have any type of valuation adjustments needed because of lack of amenities when you're comparing to either, you discounted the lots across the street, 57, 58, 59, and 60, and they have access to a boat ramp and to tennis courts based on prior testimony, where lot 13 does not. And you also used the comparables that were in the subdivision that has the marina, the clubhouse, and the dock. But again, no adjustments to 13. Would you say that communities that have access to boat ramps, tennis courts, marinas, docks would be more desirable and may have a higher value than a property that does not?
Based on the sale prices here, if we look at the community, the 3 sales here that have access to community docks or clubhouses and such, it appears that they do sell for slightly more on a price per acre basis. But again, I feel that J083 28-4 is the best comparable to this property.
Okay, and just a few more questions. Going back to lots 57, 58, 59, and 60, you indicated that there was a sale that was lower, which caused your valuation to be lower. Was there one sale that was lower, or were there multiple sales that were lower?
There was one sale that we found that was lower.
Okay, so, and it must have been substantially lower for you to take the property values down from the 20,000 or so down to 5,000.
Yes, sir.
And you confirmed it was an arm's length transaction, that it was, and do you know when that sale occurred?
That sale occurred 5/18/2018.
5/18/2018. Okay. But for the subject property, you're using sales that, when did property number 4 sale?
3/30/2016.
Okay. So we have a 2016 sale that is a higher value, and we have a 2018 sale that is a lower value, which is across the street. You felt you didn't make any adjustments for timing, for any other cause. What caused the value of the land to decrease so substantially from 2018 to 2016, in your opinion?
I can't speak to the previous valuations. I was not involved in the previous valuations. I can speak to the current valuations, and that neighborhood had a substantially lower sale, and that's why the lots across the street were valued lower.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. What was the
Commissioner
size of the
Bichetti.
lot? What was the size of the lot that sold?
The size of the lot that sold. It was actually lot 20 in that subdivision. It's nothing that's on any of the maps at all.
Okay.
And that is, let me get that for you real quick. That lot that sold was 0.654 acres.
I have another question. Thank you. On the
Okay.
map that the taxpayer has, that you have a copy of, could
Yes,
you
ma'am.
point out that where that lot would be, or the vicinity where that lot would be on the map? Like,
It's not going to be on that map. It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be off of that map to the north.
like off the page?
Yes, ma'am. Off the
pretty
page.
much? Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, I think unless somebody has another question for Mr. Benson, Mr. Baxter, do you have another witness?
No further witnesses, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we've got all the exhibits admitted, so we will deem all that in evidence. At this time, we'll have a short closing. Mr. Hurlins, we'll give you the first opportunity if you'd like.
Thank you very much. I'd like to compliment the board. I think the questions that the board members asked demonstrate that the board fully understands the issues facing us. I think the lack of the counties taking into account the fact that these lots across the street are in fact comparable, that they've admitted that they'll take into account, to my detriment, properties that are in different subdivisions. But if the property, if the valuation would be to my benefit, they're not taking the properties into account that are in different subdivisions. We understand that it's the choice between the county's 2020 valuations of some properties, and that all it's got to look at for sales are a very small number of sales in a very thin market. I would appreciate it if the board go ahead and accept a more reasonable, fair valuation based on the county's valuation and what property sales are available, and find in my favor. Thank you very much.
Mr. Baxter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll reiterate that, and I certainly understand the commission's concerns, but we'll reiterate that we've presented comparable sales to the extent we could find them in the area. I think it's been stated before that Pamlico County finding sales is very difficult, especially sales close to January 1st of 2020. We feel that Pamlico County has done that here. We don't believe that the appellants have done that. We feel that by a greater weight of the evidence, our comparables support the value that the Pamlico County Tax Office has put on these parcels, and that the comparables, the lack of comparables, do not support a value of $6,000 for this lot as alleged by the taxpayer. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any further question from commissioners? Seeing none, Ms. Benedette, can you take us into executive session? And when we have reached a decision on this matter, we will be back live, so you will be able to see and hear us.
Yes, sir. Just 1 minute. Okay, we are set.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I see Mr. Baxter and I see Mr. Benson, Mr. Hurlins. I don't see you. Are you here?
Can you hear me?
We hear you. Yes, sir.
Now can you see me?
Yes, sir. I see Ms. Young. I think I see everybody now. Okay, the commission has deliberated on this matter, and it's ruling unanimous that we rule in favor of the taxpayers' presentation of $6,000 value. And we'll try to get an opinion out. We shoot for around 30 days, maybe a little bit longer, but we like to try to get them out in about 30 days. Thank y'all for your presentations, and we hope everybody down that way stays safe. Ours, from where I am, 213 miles west of Raleigh, it looks like it's a little cloudy outside, but I didn't hear any major weather outside. I'm in my office, and in the basement, but I do have a window right next to it. So hope y'all also don't have any major weather. All right, we do need Mr. Hurlins. We got some other matters to hear. So you're excused if you want to be. If you want to stay on, you're welcome. We do have another matter from Pamlico County. It's a motion to dismiss in the Jason Sanders and Tanya Taylor matter on their appeal and motion filed by the county. Is there anybody here that's appearing for Mr. Sanders or Ms. Taylor? We don't see anybody on our.
There is nobody new to the attendee
Okay.
list.
Okay, so it appearing that there's not anybody here for Mr. and Mr. Sanders or Ms. Taylor, we'll hear from the county. Mr. Baxter, on your motion to dismiss.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This matter is 20 PTC 0418, Tanya Taylor and Jason Sanders. Pamlico County has filed a motion to dismiss based on the untimeliness of the taxpayer's appeal to the Pamlico County Board of Equalization and Review. As submitted in the motion and accompanying affidavits of both the tax assessor in Pamlico County and the affidavit of publication from the newspaper, the notice of the adjournment date of the Board of Equalization Review in Pamlico County was duly published under the statutes, stated an adjournment date of June the 1st. The taxpayers in this matter appealed their 2020 reappraisal value on August 17th of 2020. As such, the Pamlico County Board of Equalization Review voted to dismiss the appeal. And as such, we do not believe that the commission has the jurisdiction to hear the appeal, and accordingly, we ask the commission dismiss for lack of jurisdiction.
Okay, Mr. Pelfrey, has proper service been made at today's hearing to the taxpayers?
Mr. Chairman, by letter dated February 23rd, 2021, all parties were notified of today's hearing.
Okay, questions from the commissioners? Seeing none, do I have a motion that we grant the county's motion to dismiss this matter? Commissioner Guest moves, seconded by Commissioner Peasley. Further discussion, seeing none, all in favor of the motion to allow the county's motion to dismiss 20 Property Tax Commission 0418, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And so, Mr. Baxter, I think that takes care of everything that we have today. I believe your other cases were settled or continued.
Mr. Chairman, if I could have a clarification, there is also,
Sure.
I believe, a Mallard Creek LLC that I think that was the commission's dismissal because they failed to file the designation of representative. I thought that matter was going to be heard today.
Okay. That's one of the ones we're going to get to right now. You're welcome to stay. You probably don't need to stay, but you're welcome to, and it shouldn't take long, and we'll do that one first.
All right. I'll just stay on so that I know what happens, but I have a feeling
Sure.
it's going to happen.
Okay. And by the way, Mr. Baxter, do you have any questions about what we did in that first case?
I do not. No, sir.
Okay.
I talked to Mr. Vincent. He filled me in.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's do the no AV 14s and no AV 63s, the Mallard Creek Farms LLC and Pan
Mr.
Creek LLC.
Chairman, I'm sorry. Do
Yes.
you want everybody to stay as panelists or?
They can stay on. I don't see any problem
Okay.
with us. We're not going to have to decide anything in executive session or anything.
Okay,
we'll
just wanted to double
and it
check.
probably-
Thank you.
Yep, and it probably needs to be done in a public session. 20 Property Tax Commission 0353, Mr. Pelfrey.
Mr. Chairman, in this matter, the appeal was filed by the appellant on July 17th, 2020. Our office sent a letter acknowledging that appeal on July 22nd, 2020. With that letter, we sent a copy of Form AV-63, the Declaration of Non-Attorney Representative as required by the North Carolina Administrative Code, along with the instruction to return that form within 30 days of the date of the notice of appeal, where the appeal was subject to dismissal. At this point, we have not received Form AV-63 or any other communication along those lines from the property owner. And by letter dated February 23rd, 2021, the appellant as well as the county were notified of today's hearing and the purpose of the hearing. Mr. Chairman, you're muted.
Thank you, Steve. Let the record show that Mr. Baxter is here on behalf of Pamlico County. Any discussion by commissioners? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, Vice Chairman Wheeler moves that we dismiss 20 Property Tax Commission 0353, seconded by
Second.
Commissioner Michaud. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. Okay, Mr. Baxter, the next one apparently is from my county, McDowell County, Whitnell Properties, in which I'm not familiar with. Mr. Pelfrey. You're muted this time, Mr. Pelfrey.
I think I'm so. Here we go. All right. Whitnell Properties, Mr. Chairman, it's a corporation, Whitnell Properties Incorporated from McDowell County, 20 PTC 0376. In this case, the appellant filed notice of appeal with the Property Tax Commission on July 27th, 2020. On August 3rd, 2020, our office acknowledged receipt of that notice of appeal and sent a copy of Form AV-63, the Declaration of Non-Attorney Representative required under the North Carolina Administrative Code, to the appellant, along with the instruction to return that form completed within 30 days, or the appeal was subject to dismissal. As of today, we have not received any further information, any further filing along these lines from the appellant. And by letter dated February 23rd, 2021, the parties were notified of today's hearing and the purpose of the hearing.
Okay, after we finish this, I've got a question for you about this one, since you've got the file. Doesn't have anything to do with the merits of it or anything. All right, any discussion on this matter? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Peasley, seconded by Commissioner Guest, that we dismissed Whitnell Properties Incorporated, 20 Property Tax Commission 0376. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. And the motion carries. Okay, administrative session. We've already dealt with that on the Thursdays. We dealt with that Tuesday, I believe. Steve, anything else? And we are trying to find out if we can meet with the commission members, for those who want to, in Raleigh for April, and Steve's checking on that. I don't know if he's heard yet. If not, we'll let you know next day or two when we find out who is.
Mr. Chairman, do you want to stop broadcasting, or do you want to continue?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we need to. Thank you. I didn't see
Okay,
anybody
thank
else.
you.
So I just
Give me just a second.
assume we're in. Yeah. Thank y'all for your help.